Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Welcome to another episode of the Can I Park Here podcast, brought to you by StartAFashionTruck.com. My name is Nashay, and I'm here with
Estrell. Hey guys.
Welcome.
A couple weeks ago, Nashay and I did a solo episode about the brick and mortar versus mobile boutique versus online store, the pros and cons of each. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of those who sent us an email, left a comment on the post, or discussed it in the Facebook group. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and what was interesting, unrelated to the episode, one of the threads in the private Facebook group, Let's Talk About Fashion Trucks, was about returns. Like there was a thread going on last week. And what I found to be interesting is it seemed like most mobile boutique owners will do final sale, especially if a customer was able to try on the outfit in the mobile boutique, because it's just too much of a hassle to track down that customer or have the customer try to track down the truck. I think some had exceptions, but it was up to the customer to find them. But to make it easier, most of them did final sale. So I just thought I'd mention that for people who are wrestling with how to handle returns in fashion trucks.
Right. And especially if you're reselling items as well, like vintage, things like that, then you definitely want to do final sale.
But what else is going on? Astro, you got a little something going on.
Yes, guys, if you're going to be in the Chicagoland area this weekend, which would be September 10th and 11th, I will be a vendor at the Renegade Craft Fair in Chicago. Woohoo! It's supposed to be huge. Everybody's going to be there. So I'm hoping to sell a lot. The only thing though, Nashay, I looked at the weather and it's supposed to rain Saturday. And this is an outside event. So I hope the weatherman is lying.
Maybe, because it was supposed to rain this past weekend in DC, the DC area, and we didn't get a lick of rain. So you never know. That's the beauty about being a weatherman or a woman. You never have to be right. So they might be completely
They
wrong.
better be wrong. But yeah, so if you're in Chicago, come out to Renegade. Have a little fun.
Yes. Other than that, I just wanted to tell people, it seemed like we got a pretty good response on the episode we did with the online versus brick and mortar versus mobile boutique. If you guys have any other ideas of shows that you would like just Estrell and I to do, let us know. I think kind of some of our strong points are if you need any photography tips or maybe marketing tips or questions about putting together a website or branding type stuff, that is definitely our jam. We can also kind of address some things that we've learned from fashion trucks, just talking to them and fashion truck owners, but just talking to them and just looking in the Let's Talk About Fashion Trucks Facebook group. So if you have any topics that you want us to tackle, let us know. And don't forget to go over to our YouTube channel too. Just search for Find a Fashion Truck and look for, we have videos on how to do flat lay photography. And then also some Instagram videos. I'm actually going to update the videos we have on there now, since I got a comment that said, please update your Instagram video. So there's, we could even talk about, if you'd like on the show, Instagram stories, how you could use that to build your brand and some of the other bells and whistles. But, we don't want to talk about it unless you have a real interest in it. So either comment on the show notes for this episode, or send us a message at hello@findafashiontruck.com or through Facebook, whatever. You know how to reach us, and we'll see what we can do.
All right. So for our guest today, we are chatting with Tanya Montgomery. She's a clothing fashion designer in Oakland, California, and the name of her brand and mobile boutique is called Mixx Collection.
Yeah, she has some really good tips, and it's interesting to hear how she kind of started like this brand and making clothes, and now how she transitioned to a mobile boutique.
So here we go.
All right, folks. We have Tanya from Mixx Collection with us today. Welcome, Tanya.
Hi. Thanks for having me, guys.
No
Absolutely.
problem.
Appreciate it. So can you just tell us a little bit about you and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I have been designing since I was 16. So I have a company called Mixx Collection. Mixx Collection is actually my brand where I design and I hand make all of my clothing. So when I was 16, I went to like a high school that was for like the arts. I was in a magnet program in a high school out here. And so that's when I knew that I wanted to do something creative and be in the area of fashion and design. And so after I graduated high school, I went to college for fashion design. And I've pretty much always been in design, retail, my whole career, up until like corporate retail. Once I graduated from design school, I did production in the area of production at two companies out here at Mervyn's, and the North Face was the latest, and I was color analyst for many years at both of those, which fall under the area of production. And all the while I was still doing designing. So I've always been in retail and in the area of designing and creating. So that's pretty much my story about myself.
Cool. So how did you get from that point to wanting to open a mobile boutique?
Okay, so as I was saying, I've always created and designed. I initially, when I first started my brand Mixx Collection, it was pretty much like custom order and like made to order. And then in 2012, I decided that I wanted to do like a collection where I do a run of sizes, like small, medium, large. And then I started to do that, and I sold online. And then I also would do like vendor shows and pop-ups and stuff. But I was in a 10 by 10, like 10, when you go to artisan events and things of that nature. And then I always knew about fashion trucks. Like, 'cause when they came out years ago, I was familiar with them, and I thought, having a truck would really help take my business to the next level, especially when I'm vending at events like this, because then I'd have a fitting room and, people would step into an area and feel like an experience versus, just like having, a tent, So I tried to figure out, okay, what would I go about doing this? So it took me probably about a year to kind of gather everything together and figure out how I was going to make it happen. And then in 2015 was when I, opened the truck.
Okay.
So when you said you're like, okay, I am going to do this.
Yeah.
this is, I know this is the direction I want to take. What are some of the first things you did? Like, how did you stay organized, and how did you also come up with your name and also the design for the exterior and interior of the truck?
Okay. So once I decided, I love writing lists. I'm really obsessed with taking notes and writing pros and cons and things of that nature. And okay, if I wanted to do this, like how I would make it happen. So in about the middle of 2014 was when I really was like, okay, I want to do this. I need to figure out how I can make this happen. And that was when I kind of just did the groundworks of, going through, okay, what would be the cost? How would I, find shows? And because I was already doing, vendor shows. So I figured, and I was already seeing some trucks at those shows as well. So I knew that I could, do that, and just doing that research. And then in 2015, after I did like my research, I took action in the early part of the year, and then I was able to open the truck at the end of in September of 2015. And then with the name of my truck, it's my actual brand, Mixx Collection, because I already had my brand and my website and everything already in play since 2012 was when I launched the brand of Mixx Collection. So that was already in existence. And so Mixx Collection, actually, one of my friends actually helped me come up with the name, because as I was saying, prior to me having a line, I did custom stuff or made to order. So I did a mixture of things. So I was like, okay, yeah, Mixx Collection. So I used 2 X's because MIX wasn't available.
Well, there you go.
and that's how I came up with Mixx Collection. And when it came to the truck, so the outside of the truck, I was really lucky actually, because when I bought the truck, the silver color that it is, it was already painted that color. So yes,
so
I didn't have to paint it, So I was like, oh, that's great. I just got, the lettering put on there. And I liked that I didn't want to do too much on the outside. I wanted to just kind of keep it, streamlined and kind of crisp, so I was okay with keeping it, the silver color that it is. And in the interior, the truck used to be, originally it was a DHL delivery truck. And the person that I bought it from, he was using it for his company, just to kind of, transfer tools and things of that nature. So it was totally empty already. So I didn't have to do any gutting, which was good. And so I just worked with a contractor. One of my good friends, her husband is a contractor. So I was able to get him involved, because I just knew that I didn't know how to do all the things of laying a floor and all that. And at the time I was working full time as well. So I just, it was good for me to be able to connect with him and partner with him and have that happening. But I did design basically the whole truck, and he custom built the little cubbies where I put my accessories and things of that nature. It's not a super long truck. It's actually
I was going to ask about that, because I saw a picture and I was like, I don't know if it's my eyes. I'm like, but it seems like it's shorter than the typical UPS truck or something like that. Correct? Okay.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's definitely shorter. I think it's either 14 feet or 12 feet or something. It's not super long. It's a 1997 Utility Master. I was searching and searching. I found this truck on Craigslist actually. And the reason why I wanted a truck this size is because, as I mentioned earlier, I actually design and hand make everything myself. So I didn't want a truck that was 16 or 18 feet long, because, you have to keep it stocked. And if you have a truck that's really big and then your racks are empty because you can't produce fast enough, then it doesn't look appealing,
Right.
True.
And as well, I had to drive the truck too. So I wanted to have something that I felt
keep it manageable.
Yeah, something that I felt comfortable to drive, and it's easy for me to maneuver into smaller spaces and park in other areas. So I felt comfortable with that truck. And in the inside, the height is the same height, about 6 feet. It's about the same height as, the other fashion trucks. It's just not as long.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you constantly making things, or do you only have a scheduled time where you like, okay, if I sell out of this many items, then I'll start making more? Or are you just always making things and then keeping them like stored to the side or something like that?
I'm always making things. So so the way that my business works is I intentionally, so I buy all the fabric, like I go down to downtown LA and I buy all my fabric for for the things that I make. And so I usually buy enough fabric to make 8 to 10 units of one style. And once that sells out, I don't have any more of that fabric. So then I either move on to a different fabric with the same style or a whole nother style. Sometimes I'll, reproduce the style again if it's a really good selling style and, people like it, then I'll, redo it, but do it in a different type of fabric. But I usually keep my runs really small so that I don't sit on the inventory as long. And as well, it also gives the customer a unique buy. And when people come on my truck, they like that they're talking to the actual person that made it. They like that, it's not mass produced. So they're going to get a unique buy from, a local artist, local designer.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you ever do custom pieces?
I'll either do like a custom piece of my design. So like if a customer comes to me and says like, oh, I really like this style, but like I wish I could get it in black or like, in red or something like that, then I can make it in that custom color. And sometimes I get people that come to me and say, I really want something unique for my birthday or I'm going to a wedding. And then I'll do a custom design for them as well. So I do custom as well as my line. Yeah.
Oh, now let me ask you this because, custom pieces should definitely cost a lot more than like, pieces that someone may purchase wholesale.
Exactly.
So are you able to kind of really charge like what they're worth, even though you're in a fashion truck? Like, do they really kind of understand that, hey, like this person, Tanya, is making these by hand? Okay.
Yes. My price points are, I try to keep it mid, but it's definitely like higher than if you were to go on. And I don't have sales either. Like I don't have like because I don't have enough inventory because I sell out of the stuff. Luckily enough, I make small runs, so I sell out of stuff before, it's like, okay, I've been sitting on this for a while because I don't have large inventories of it. So I usually don't have to like mark a lot of things down. And also, yes, the customer, they do understand that because I'm always on the truck. So I always talk to the customer and let them know, like, I know that I have that my customer is a specific type of person, like she likes that she's buying something unique and she's willing to pay, the price for it because it's something that's going to last and it's something that is unique,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And it's like really cool that you're mobile too. Like I don't know if you've even dabbled in this, but I could even see you like getting paid to do stuff for weddings and maybe like during the wedding day, like being there for, I don't know, like any last minute things that need to be done,
Yeah.
I mean, there's like so many things you could do with that.
Yeah, totally. Like my schedule is just like, because I'm actually doing a decent amount of custom stuff right now in the middle of like producing inventory for my truck too. So it's like I'm always working.
Well, that's a good thing now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I was going to ask you too, like, so you're coming up on about a year and of what a lot of kind of truck owners or future truck owners are wondering is, if in the first year they'd be able to make a profit. So have you been able to make a profit yet? Or have you just broken even? Have you lost money? Kind of where are you at right now?
Right now, I think it's at a break because I haven't been paying myself intentionally because I just want to put everything back into the business, Mm-hmm. So it's definitely at a break right now. And also, I'm not really doing it. I'm not out there full time. Like per week, I may go out about 2 to 3 times a week. I feel like I have to go out more than that in order to really make make it your full-time thing, and because I actually have to make the stuff, it's not possible for me to be out vending, 6 days a week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so at this point, I would say it's an even for the first year for me, an even break. Yeah.
Now, during the day, are you working for someone else, or do you kind of like, is your day job really kind of like selling things online and then the truck on weekend? Or because I think that's another thing that people like always wonder, like, oh, should I keep my day job and continue to do this, or just work for myself 100%?
Yes, I didn't jump fully in. I work part-time now. I work part-time. I do 3 days a week working a job, and then the other 2 days in the weekend is for myself. But usually, like on a regular day, like the days that I do work at like a job, right? I go in there and then I leave and I go to my studio and I sew. So I work like 2 jobs in one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, that's that hustle, like it's like Estrella hates when I say this, but it's like you have to be hungry enough. Like if you're hungry enough, like for, just wanting to make it as like an entrepreneur, as a business person, like you just find the time, you just like figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, definitely. And doing it full time is, what I would like to transition into. But I knew that I couldn't work my full-time job as well as put as much effort into this as I wanted to give it a chance. So I said I would work part-time so that I could have, money for, just for myself. And then all the money and proceeds that I make for my brand, I can just put right back into it. As I continue to grow, I want to go to the area where that this is all that I do. But starting off, if you can work a few extra hours just for something extra, I think that's good. If it's needed, I mean, if not, then hey, just go right in,
It's kind of cool because, the person that will post this week, or the couple that we're posting this week, they're like just starting. So I think they've only been in business for like a month or two. So you're going to be the episode right after, which is great because now it's like the next step is a year. So hopefully maybe even the person after you, we could get like 2 years.
Yeah, I love that.
But so now that you're almost a year in, do you have any tips for people when it comes to maybe with collaborating with other trucks or businesses or whoever in order to like get yourself out there? Like what's worked for you?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I in the past I had already did like artisan shows, like so out here in I'm in California, in Northern California, primarily in Oakland is usually like kind of where my East Bay. That's kind of where I'm like based. I try to do like all the big artisan shows that usually happen around here. Like there's a show called Urban Air Market. They have that one in San Francisco, and I try to do that event whenever they have it. They have like every 2 to 3 months, I believe. And then there's also a show that happens every month, like on the second Saturday. And I try to do that one as well, just to have a presence that's ongoing. And I've partnered with the farmers market out here. The farmers market out here, like they have a requirement for their artisans that you have to make your stuff. So I had to go through the application process. But once I was accepted, then there was a variety of farmers markets I could participate in. So I try to do the farmers market. I've also partnered with different wineries and bars as well, just kind of reaching out to them and seeing if they would be okay with, letting me like pop up and park for a little bit. And that's worked out. So yeah, definitely partnering with other businesses is a good idea, just because if they have a service and, you can provide a new element, because even though fashion trucks have been out for a while, not everyone is familiar with them. So it's still kind of like a new element and something fun for people to kind of, see and experience. And so I feel like it's a win-win.
As far as like your social media, has that kind of helped any too? Like help new customers find you? And then how do you manage social media with the fashion truck and a part-time job?
Yeah, actually, social media it really helps. Like, for example, yesterday I posted this skirt that I was in the studio making, and because I have my studio where I make my stuff, so I posted a picture of it, and I've had 5 people say, "Hey, I want this skirt." I'm like, "Oh, that's great," So, so yeah, social media, Instagram in specific, actually is
Oh yeah,
it's really good because I post stuff on there, and people are like, "Oh, I want this," like or they'll know where I'm going to be, or so it's very helpful. I pretty much am a one person show. I do the social media, I do everything. So I want to be on there more. I want to like post stuff like every single day, but honestly, I skip a day or two because I just don't have the time. So it's a juggle. It's a constant juggle, honestly.
right.
It's a constant juggle.
When you were starting the truck and getting everything together, like were
Yeah.
there any pitfalls for you? Anything that you wish you had have done that you didn't do? Anything that you would recommend that people really take the time to think about before they jump in?
I would say to do, because like I said, I did a lot of research. So I did a lot of research, so I knew exactly what I wanted, and I was very involved with, the interior design of it, and I thought long and hard about it. I wanted to have a design of something that was kind of classic, and that I felt would last through a while, not something that, would just be, oh, after a few months I'm bored with it. So I did, like, even with the like, one wall has like the moss wallpaper, and I kept it neutral tones because I like to design stuff with a lot of colors. So I kind of wanted the clothing to kind of be that pop of color in there. So I kind of just thought everything out. I guess the suggestion I would say is to think about it, and be very precise and exact and sure about it. And once you kind of weighed out your pros and cons and figured it out, I just say go for it. And another thing is you want to think about it hard, but you don't want to overthink about it so long that you've wasted time. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, think about it, be as precise as possible, and then just jump. Don't be afraid,
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that would be the only advice that I would say, is just think about it, and, be as precise as possible as you can in the moment. And once you weighed all that out, just kind of go for it. As long as you've really thought it out and said, oh yes, definitely 100%, this is definitely what I want to do, then I just say go for it. Because sometimes if you just sit and tinker and think, think, then it doesn't happen until you start moving.
Different guests like have started different ways. So for example, like beginning of this season, we had someone who made custom mats on Etsy, and then they were able to fund their truck with that. I think season 1, we had someone who did like a successful Kickstarter. Some people like take loans out. How are you able to kind of fund yourself, like be able to get the truck and get, purchase all the material for the clothes that you wanted to be in the truck? Like, what's kind of your story and how were you able to make it happen?
Yeah, I used my own funding. I didn't do any loans. I was able to use the assets that I do have with like property and things of that nature to make that move happen. So that's how I was able to get my funding. And then once I got that, I just made it happen. I was gonna, get a loan, but then I kind of weighed it out and figured what would be best for me. And so I
Mm-hmm.
decided to um, use the assets that I had from my property. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always kind of neat because I think it's important, I guess, for people to hear that there's no one right way to do it. It's just what makes sense for you, what makes sense for your business.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is because, everybody's story is different. Everybody's situation is different. So it's like, just kind of coming to that decision of, hey, this is definitely what I want to do. And then just trying to explore your options, right, for how you can make this attainable. Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, we just hear like so many, I guess, Astrell and I were talking about it this morning, just all these amazing stories about men and women, but primarily women who figure out how to make it work. Like they decide that they're going to do it. And then 6 months later, 8 months later, they've got their new business.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and it's like because as long as you're determined, to do something, I feel like you can do anything. I mean, everybody's path isn't going to be the same, but as long as you just keep that drive and that will, then you can't help but to succeed.
Absolutely. So what's next for you this kind of before I even say that, the nice thing about at least in California is you don't have to shut down for the winter. So
You know what's funny? Believe it or not, you guys, and I know you guys are gonna laugh because so people in California, so in Northern California, we get more rain than Southern California, right? Even though we've kind of been in a drought these past few years, I would say so last winter, okay, we experienced like a decent amount of rain where in the years past, like we didn't have any rain because we were in a drought. And so when it rains, I mean, people, they hide, they go into hibernation and they're like, oh my gosh, it's raining. And then you think about other parts of the country where it's like snowing, like extreme snow. And we just have a little bit of rain and everyone's like, oh no, it's raining. I got to stay inside. So believe it or not, we do actually, like I did two shows, or no, I did a few shows. I think I did more than two. I did a few shows in December. And it was kind of like, it was kind of scary because when it rains, like people, they run and they come out. So I was just trying to figure out actually if I wanted to book any shows for December. Like I booked shows for November, but I'm not sure if I want to book shows for December just because when it starts to rain, no one wants to. They don't want to go out. So it's just kind of that gamble. And then especially if I'm doing events where, there's a vendor fee, I have to figure out like, okay, am I going to take that risk and, see what happens? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you just kind of have to do it. So I'm debating right now if I'm going to do any events in December. In January, January is kind of slow just in general with retail. Like January is slow. So I'm thinking about next year too. Like I don't think I'm going to book a ton of shows in January. But the good thing is I just because I was saying earlier that I have a studio, I just moved to another studio that's a little bit larger than the one I had. So it's a little bit larger, so I'm going to have space to where I can have a rack and stuff so I can have studio hours and people can come and shop in my studio.
Wow. Cool. That's what you need, Astrell. A studio. You can have a studio in your truck.
Yeah, so like my studio where I work and stuff and do where I create my stuff, it's gonna be, I just moved into it not too long ago. So I'm still kind of finishing it up and getting it set up to where people will be able to come in there as well. So if I'm not on the truck during like you say if it's raining and just like tons of rain, then people can come and they can come in and shop in the studio too.
Well, I guess what's unique about this studio too, I guess, is unlike having like a traditional brick and mortar, like you don't have to have these set hours, right? Like you're like, this is my studio, and I may have special events, or if I'm doing something custom for you or whatever, then you could come in during these hours.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I like. And then it's also, right, it's not going to be as much as say like a brick and mortar, because cost and rent and stuff is very, very, very high in California.
Yes, I can only imagine.
It's very high, so it's good to have that option, just for, and then like you said, the flexibility, because it's hard to have the way that my life is. I wouldn't be able to always be there every single day, all day, so.
Yeah, definitely tag us if you take pictures of your studio once you kind of fix it up. But we'd love to check it out.
For sure, I definitely will. And there was something else I forgot to include that I wanted to mention about. Remember earlier, I'm looping back, so hopefully you can edit this into the show. But when you ask, why did I decide on a fashion truck? Another reason I like fashion trucks is because you can be in multiple communities, right? So you can be in multiple areas. Like one day I'm in San Francisco, the next day I'm in Oakland, the next day the next day I'm in Alameda. These are just like cities around here, and so you can be in all these different communities and get your brand presence out there.
I completely agree. We just kind of did an episode on the pros and cons of each. And that's one thing we mentioned with mobile boutiques is like, you're not stationary. You could be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And with, social media and like, email contacts and things like that, and having a website, you can always post, like I always post, where I'm going to be for the week on like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And then I have like a calendar on my website where I put like this day I'm here, et cetera, et cetera. And then I send out emails. So, it makes it, if someone wants to find you, it's easy for them to find you.
All right. Well, I'm going to start asking you a few wrap-up questions because I could like talk to you like all afternoon and pick your brain. But
well, that would be no problem. I love to talk. I talk so much. But that's
I do too. That's why Estra was like, Nishay, can you stop talking so much? I'm like, I can't help it. It's just who I am. So next time I'm out in California, maybe I'll definitely look you up so I could stop by the truck or maybe stop by the studio. Or maybe you can make something for me. Like I'm addicted to Ankara fabric right now in jumpsuits. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I've made a few custom Ankara pieces actually. Like I made a jacket, I made like these harem pants, I made a dress, like I've made like so many custom Ankara fabric pieces. So yeah.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'll definitely, you'll be hearing from me.
Okay.
But do you have a favorite podcast, blog, book, or TV show? And if so, what is it?
Okay, so you guys, I've been listening to your podcast since, when did I start listening to your podcast? So I said in 2014, I decided to do the truck. And then so I was doing research, and then I came across you guys' podcast. That was like probably in the beginning of last year. So I listened to your podcast, and then I also listened to a lot of podcasts. Actually. I listened to Reveal. So it's kind of like an investigative type of podcast where they pick a different topic every week and they kind of dig into it, I listened to Undisclosed. Undisclosed is a podcast that was inspired by the Adnan case from Serial.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to Serial. Now I listen to Undisclosed. This American Life. So really like
all of their stuff, right?
Because, I'm in the studio by myself when I'm like on the days where I'm just like working, and it's like I drive a lot. So I'm like, I don't want to listen to music in the studio as well. So I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm working. And then when I'm driving, I listen to music. So yeah.
It's a good balance.
Favorites.
And if you could have any celebrity, entertainer, model, athlete, whoever, dead or alive, visit your mobile boutique, who would it be?
Okay, so I know tons of people have probably said to her, but I would love to have Oprah come on my truck because
I don't think anyone has
everything.
said that.
Really? Oh
I,
wow! Well, yay! I'm the first. So Oprah, like she's just such like everything she touches turns to gold, and she's such a great businesswoman. Like
Mhm.
I would just love for her to mentor me. I would ask her to mentor me. Like
Mhm.
I would love her to come on my truck. That's who I would love to come on my truck.
Well, when we tweet out your episode, we'll do one tweet where we're like, and she'd love to have at Oprah visit.
Yeah. Please, Oprah, come on.
I know. Maybe her people will see the tweet and be like, Oprah, you need to visit this
fingers
truck.
crossed. My fingers are crossed right now.
And what do you like to do in your free time to wind down and de-stress from work?
I really am a huge fan of wine, so I like to sip on some wine. I like to sip wine. I go to wineries, and just taste different types of wine. What else do I like to do? Sometimes I watch TV. Not a lot. Like there's, shows that I like to watch and I'll maybe record them and later on if I have some downtime, I'll just kind of check those out. What else? And I like to just, hang out with friends. I kind of have to, because my schedule is so busy, I have to like schedule everything. So, I'll schedule wind down time. Like, I'm going to hang out with these people on this date just because, when you're doing everything, you kind of just get wrapped up in the world and you won't stop, So I try to set aside times to do kind of like leisure things.
And Android or iPhone, and what's your favorite app?
Okay, I am an Android user, and I love it. I love it. I love their camera. Like Samsung camera is unbelievable, and I just take pictures everywhere. I have thousands and thousands of pictures on my phone. So I like Samsung. And you said app, right? Which app?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, an app that you find yourself using all the time or one that's good for just like productivity or anything.
Okay, so I find myself using the Instagram app a lot. I like that one. Oh, and then there's this app that's called Editor Pro. So, you take a picture and then you can edit it. You can make it brighter, make the sharpness so it's not as blurry. Like it's really easy to edit pictures. So I use that one. And then, there's an app called Keep. I like that app. My friend told me about it because remember I mentioned I really like to like write notes and write lists and all that. So this app you can write a to-do list and you just type the things in and then once you've done it on the list you click it and it's like it does like a strike through like you've completed it. So I just like seeing that, those little bullet points and the little strike throughs of things I've accomplished for the day. So I like that app too.
The final question is, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
Whenever I hear you guys always ask that question, and it's so funny. I always think to myself like, what would I say? And it's so funny because now I'm on the show and
you're on the hot seat.
What would I do? I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm doing it. I'm just, I just kind of dived in and I'm just kind of looking at it like, failure isn't an option and I'm just going to do it. So I guess I would say this. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, she was super cool. I like talking to her. Yeah,
I mean, I just I feel like I almost say this every week, but I so mean it. Like, I just love hearing people's stories and the backgrounds and hearing about people's talents and then how they figure out how to monetize it and actually do what they love, for a living. And so I hope that one day she'll be able to kind of kick her 9 to 5 to the curb and really just go full time with her brand in this mobile boutique.
Absolutely.
And, if we remember, maybe we can include like a little picture of her truck. But if not, if you go to the show notes, just click the link to her website. I mean, the truck is a little guy. It's like when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's like a half a truck.
Yeah. Yeah. She said it was about 12 feet. But she wanted to make sure that it was the right size for her, small enough for her to drive it. And then in addition to that, since she makes her own clothes, she doesn't have like a large inventory on hand at once. So she wanted to keep it small so that she'll be able to fill up the truck.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm teasing her a little bit, but I mean, I think it's very smart, it's like, it almost reminds me like it's like a little bit bigger than a USPS little mail truck.
Yeah, but also the photo could be a little deceiving too. So like once you're like up on it, it's probably looks a little bigger.
But I mean, I think it's genius because when you go into it, because of the size, it is going to look full, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, I just think it's cool too that she's sewing her own clothes and that she's able to charge what it's worth, right? Like, because I feel like that's come up before where people are nervous about charging higher prices in a mobile boutique because they don't know if the customers are going to be willing to pay the higher prices. But it seems like she doesn't have any issues with that, which is fantabulous.
Right. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode because we did. And if you need to get in contact with us or follow us on social media, you can find us at findafashiontruck.com, the directory, startafashiontruck.com for the podcast, at FFT_official_ on Twitter and Instagram, and Find a Fashion Truck on Facebook.
Absolutely. All right, you guys have I was going to say wonderful night because it's like 8:30 at night as we're recording this. You can tell we're kind of punchy because we're a little sleepy. If you guys are listening to this, no matter what time of the day or night it is, I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. And we will talk to you guys next week.
All right. Thanks for parking here.
Bye.